Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another episode of Found Footage Fridays with my co-host, Tom Reimer.
Is it summer yet? It's June. I don't know if that counts. Yeah, it's summer. Hot down there? Okay.
It's hot. Yeah.
Not
I
up here
got
yet.
a sunburn this past weekend. It's hot. Everybody's out doing stuff.
So we should start talking about summer found footage then, right?
Yes, which is now going to be, I think, a new subgenre.
Subgenre.
And then within that, it's going to have subgenres.
And within that, we're talking about a subgenre we haven't done yet, I think.
No, and I think this is the only one, which is sad.
Because
yeah. So today we are talking when did this come out? Okay. The 2017 found footage movie, Open Water 3, Cage Dive.
That was my shark.
Oh, I should.
Jaws thing. It's like more alligator, I guess. Yeah.
Tomato.
Whatever.
I'm just going to read a short synopsis. 3 friends from California head to the rugged Australian coast for a cage dive encounter. When a massive wave suddenly capsizes their boat, they find themselves floating in the ocean with a swarm of hungry man-eaters.
It is surprising there's not more shark found footage.
Somebody please do that. I would live for. I love shark movies.
I think it's probably has to do with that. How many scenarios can you come up with where a person's holding a camera as they're being attacked by sharks?
Yeah, and then the impossible task of getting the shots like that and making it look real.
Yeah, making it not look forced. Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on this one? Because I had already seen this.
So at first I thought I shouldn't watch it because I hadn't seen the first 2 in this series, but I did a little research and read that it doesn't really matter, and that this actually originally was not supposed to be part of this series. It was going to be like its own thing, and then I guess the production company just decided to tie it in and brand it with the other open water movies. So, so I thought, it was a really fun movie. I think some of the, gripes we have about some other found footage movies, I could make the case for with this, but there were other things, in fact, in particular, like how the movie looked, that I was worried,
oh yeah,
how are they going to show the sharks? How real is it going to look? And I thought that was awesome. I thought this movie looks great.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the feel of like a bunch of CGI sharks.
Not even close.
It looks legit. So I really liked it. I know you really like this. You've been talking about this for a really long time.
Yeah, so I discovered this one last year from the only other found footage guru I really know, which is JR from Horror Fiend TV. He said, he was like, have you ever seen this? And I was like, no, the first one sucked. I wasn't going to watch any others. He's like, no, it's like found footage. And I was like,
yeah,
like found footage and sharks. Like I was so pumped because I love shark movies. And so the whole thing around the first one, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the whole thing with the first one is the sharks were real. They literally filmed it in the middle of the ocean, and the sharks in the movie are real. Like if you go and you look up behind the scenes of Open Water, the original one, the sharks are real.
I mean, I feel like there were scenes at the at least in part in this one, look like they might have been real also.
I tried to find, so I tried to find 2 things. I tried to find the budget, could not find it. And I tried to find the behind the scenes stuff because I was really interested in how they got some of these looking so real.
I think it's because it was a mix. It was probably,
I think you're right.
The only stuff that was probably CGI was like the split second right before something happens. But I do think a lot of these shots were real sharks. I think. I could be wrong, but
I don't know how they couldn't be.
And
right?
I would also guess it was a big budget. Too.
Yeah, so that was why I wanted to look it up, because the amount of stuff they were able to do, from the wave knocking the boat over
But the big budget thing is also, um, it's a complaint I sometimes have with some of these other movies. Sometimes it makes it not look grainy enough, not look found footagey enough. But
Sure.
it didn't really bother me with this movie. I feel like this movie was fun. This is like the perfect summer found footage movie. And
Yeah.
that's coming from someone who I usually like my found footage movies and haunted locations. And
Right.
this was really not that at all. And I really did like it a lot.
I really liked it a lot too. And it was really fun because, I had seen it once and
Hmm.
then I rewatched it again just to kind of get a refresher because it'd been like a year since I'd seen it. And it is, I mean, and the thing is with shark movies in particular, I always have my guard down because shark movies a lot of the time are really like cheesy and overshot and
Yeah,
kind of like whatever. So I went into it expecting that. And I am also horribly terrified of sharks. Like,
sure.
horribly. Like, I don't go into the ocean past my ankles. Like, I'm so scared of sharks. This had me like, there's some moments in this that are scary
Yeah, this
that,
is,
oh, just really had me like, and we'll get into more, more of that when we like actually break down the scenes and stuff. But like, it was, it was really scary. Like, there were
yeah,
some parts where I was like, oh, like it's,
yeah,
yeah, it was good.
it's definitely one of those movies. And I
Yeah.
think because anybody can picture themselves treading water there in some of these moments, whereas you
Yeah.
can't necessarily picture yourself in like that abandoned haunted asylum. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or running through Burkittsville, Maryland, from the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
So it's harder to picture those sorts of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's really easy to picture this.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about an animal that exists in real, like that we have, like we know is real. Whereas, with ghosts, sometimes, even if you believe in ghosts, you can kind of rationalize, like, oh, it's not real. Versus
Yeah,
this is like, no, like sharks do not intentionally, not because they're actually man eaters, but because they mistake us for food. People get bit by sharks all the time. Not all the time, but a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. It was almost scarier in that this wasn't some like superhuman shark and like
Right.
you
The
know uh,
sharks,
what is it like? Is it what's that movie? Is it Deep Blue Sea? It's not like these
yeah,
like
they're not
com-
modified.
modified thing. These are just sharks that were baited by this cage diving company, and yeah, that was a little bit of a spoiler, yes. But
Not too bad.
so let's rate this. You should rate this one first because you are a long time fan of this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I really do love this. I don't think it's perfect. I hate the first 30 minutes of this. On my second watch, I just fast forwarded it.
Eight?
Um, and but other than that, I mean, honestly, okay, if I'm being honest, my rating is what it is because of the shots with the sharks. That's really the only reason it's getting this high. And so for me, Open Water 3 Cage Dive, I'm giving it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I expected you would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't like the first 30 minutes.
No, I don't care about
Why
the
not?
people. It's a shark movie.
But you need to care. You need to care about the people to be invested in what happens next.
Yeah, but I never do in shark movies. I'm never invested.
Okay.
I just want the sharks to eat everyone. Like I
Yeah,
don't.
I guess I didn't really like care too much what happened with them, but I didn't mind the build up at the beginning. I thought it was okay. It was fine.
I think I
Yeah,
was just impatient to see what they were going to do with found footage and sharks. And so I was like, I don't care about this. Show me the other
right.
stuff that I'm excited about?
Yeah, and I mean, it was actual found footage. They actually did find
Yeah, because
the
yeah, that's
camera at
right.
the bottom of the ocean.
Yep, there's
Beginning.
parts of this that are mockumentary.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
Um,
So
which we usually like. So that's why I'm surprised because that's what really the beginning of the movie is the mockumentary.
and I did really like that setup. And they do a
Yeah.
really good job of explaining how that was even possible.
Right. They did.
That was
Absolutely.
believable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah.
so I didn't rate it quite as high as you, but
Yeah.
I did really, I really do like this movie. I,
Yeah.
don't have a lot at fault with it. I'm gonna rate this movie 7.5.
Okay.
Um,
Really close.
yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a solid found footage movie. So what happens with this? So you have there's there's definitely more than just sharks, at least as far as the setup and the plot. In that you
Yeah.
have these three friends, which I missed at first. They're supposed to be brothers, aren't they?
They're brothers. Yep.
Okay. So they're I don't know. I sort of missed exactly what they were attempting to do, but they were trying to get noticed somehow, right? They're trying
Yeah,
to
they're
get on
doing an
some.
audition tape for like Wild Living or Outliving or something like that, where it's like a extreme sports kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And so they decide to take some trip. They're from the US. They decide to take some trip to Australia, where there's this basically cage diving company.
Yep.
One of them, or the brothers, have a cousin or something who lives out there,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
Which seemed like there were a few things that were sort of like unnecessary plot points.
Yeah.
The Australian cousin,
Hmm.
and to be honest, like the whole romantic triangle, right? The love triangle, whatever you want to call it. Just
Yep.
sort of weird
Yeah.
and unnecessary. So basically, the main the woman is dating one of the brothers, but
Hmm.
actually she's sort of with both the brothers.
Yeah. And
Not sort of. Yeah.
this is a trope that we've talked about where they can't
Yes. You're
have
right.
mostly like two males and a female, and then like somebody's got to be in love with somebody inappropriately or out of line or whatever.
Isn't that funny? You said it, and I couldn't think of a lot of examples, but you're right. Like, it's a found
The
footage
one we
thing.
just watched with the trunk chest did
Yeah,
that.
Jeff
Um,
did it. Yeah,
but it happens a lot. It's really common, and it's obnoxious because like I don't have a problem with love interest. I don't have a problem with romantic storylines, but I actually have an easier time connecting when the stories are things about just friendship or
yeah.
siblings or a parent and a child, like those kind of things. Those I connect with more with that than romantic drama in the middle of a crisis. Like that
Was
makes
it?
it hard.
I bet. I wonder if if we actually went through and figured out how many found footage movies involved two
I
men and a
know.
woman, like
Starting with Blair Witch.
starting with Blair Witch. Yeah, and it's not so much the romantic angle in
No,
that one,
thankfully not.
but yeah, it's. And I wonder if it's because of Blair Witch, like it's just
It's a
that
formula.
formula. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't take very long if you sat down and figured that out. But you're right. That I didn't even think of that watching this. But
Yeah.
so you have that same sort of similar formula. It was a little more weird this time, or maybe a lot more weird, because they
Yeah.
were brothers.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's not incredibly complicated.
No,
Well,
it's not.
and it once it gets going, it's pretty quick.
Mhm.
They're in the cage when a giant tidal wave hits, knocks everybody into the water,
That
and
scene,
ooh, yeah, that scene's great. So well done.
they did such a great job with that, and I'm
Yeah,
like high anxiety, because I don't remember if I read. I think I watched the trailer, so I knew it was going to happen, but I wasn't expecting it to happen when it did. So when they come up they're in the process of coming up out of the cage, is what's
yeah.
happening, and when they come up, the wave hits and you're just like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." And then like by a miracle, they get out of the cage before it, completely disconnects and everything's in shambles, but that scene is like, "Oh my
I
god,
mean,
it looks so good."
when the wave hits, they've been baiting the sharks
Great
this
whites
entire time. The great whites, they're all right
around.
there. And what's terrifying about that, just that scene, however long it is right then, is that you don't hear a lot because they're underwater. So, like, you don't know what's happening on the surface. But then when they come up, everyone is getting. Uh, are we spoiling? I don't know how far
We're
I should.
past that. When you
We're
said,
spoiling.
"So what happens in this movie?" That was like a marker.
That was spoiler. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so they're eating there. Everyone's getting eaten. Spoiler, except these three. Like they basically
they're
are the
further
one.
away. They
They
swam further
they
away to get away
swim
from the
further
boat.
away. Um, but
God,
they're
that
just sort of
scene.
dangling there. That whole idea that they're just dangling there in the water and waiting and hoping that something does not pull them under. Really scary.
It is, and the underwater shots of the boat being flipped over and the bodies
Oh yeah,
underwater, like, this is filmed, like, I mean, I don't know, like, it blew me away, and that's what adds to it being so unsettling is because it does look so real, and then, they get the first person there's, like, this person that's, like, I don't know, a little bit a ways away from him, and he's flailing like crazy, and I'm like, "Why? That's like
don't do
Shark
that.
101, don't
Yeah,
do that." And then you just see and this looked like maybe a practical shark, the fins, just that one part,
yeah, maybe,
because
yeah.
the fins move almost not quite naturally, so I think that might have been practical, but that when that shark comes up and it swims away, you're like, "Whoo," and then the other one comes up, oh my god.
Definitely a shark jump scare for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Jump
So
the shark
good
scare.
though. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah, so there's a lot of time with them just sort of floating there and fighting. They eventually get a raft of some kind. Um,
That was cool.
that was cool. They get in that. Um, Really upsetting scene in the raft. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
I had
just a
forgotten about that
terrible,
scene until my
terrible.
rewatch. Like,
Oh god, gut wrenching.
so she
Um,
messes with the flare, and he's already told one of the guys has already told her not to mess with stuff. And
yeah,
so they pull in this girl that they are trying to help.
yeah.
And then when a flare goes off inside the tent, they three of them jump out and leave
Oh
that
my
woman in the thing.
god.
And then all you hear, like, it's like this moment of like, oh no, like they say something, and then you just hear like blood curdling screaming from the
Yeah,
inside of that blow up thing.
yeah. She's just like burn it. Yeah, it's on fire. It's just terrible. So they're floating again. All three of them once again, just floating in the ocean with sharks, freezing, and they're fighting. They're fighting a lot. Um, and then she, for whatever reason, there's a little bit of a Blair. I always back up a little bit. There's a little bit of a homage to Blair Witch, I think, when the woman is like talking to the camera, and she's not saying "I'm so scared," but she's saying like a message to her family. I'm so
And she's like,
sorry.
I'm gonna make this right if we get out of
Yeah,
here.
it
Because
felt
she's
that
cheating on her boyfriend. Like,
with his brother.
yeah. So she's like,
So you can't. I mean, you, at least two of these people, you really don't feel that bad for them. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but like
you
they're
just feel
not
bad for
great.
the boyfriend, the main
They're not
boyfriend.
great people. And she even says like I'm hurting both of them. I mean,
Yeah. But admitting it, right, is like, she just is kind of so, it took this though to make her realize,
yeah,
like, now that they're gonna die, you feel bad, but she didn't feel
terrible.
bad
So
before.
so so then she decides to like or it somehow comes out they're fighting and it comes out that this triangle has been happening and
Yeah, the other guy outs the situation. He says,
yep,
he was like, just shut up. All you ever do is lie. You lie to me, you lie to yourself, you lie to Jeff, I think is the other guy's name.
yeah,
He's like, that's all you ever do is lie. And she's like, panic, sheer panic on her
yeah,
face. And he's like, wait, what? What do you mean? She's lying about what? What is she lying about? And then
Yeah.
they both get like dead quiet, and she's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then the main boyfriend is like, are you guys behind my back? Like, I don't know how he deduced that
Yeah.
unless he already had suspicions, but then it comes out that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and then basically in the midst of this, he starts swimming away. Shark comes and eats her right up. She gets her comeuppance.
And I have to say, like, I thought the underwater at night shots with the
Oh,
sharks was really wicked.
oh, the light from the camera
Oh man, when he turned it
underwater.
on to night vision, I was like,
Mhm.
oh,
That's
that
super.
has so much potential. And it did not fail to
I
deliver. It
mean,
was like that one shot where it like she feels something like hit her foot or something. And so he
mhm,
goes down to look and it's like right there and it like circles and goes through
yeah.
them. Ooh,
I mean, so night vision's always great. I mean, when you see that in found footage, Grave Encounters does it really
sure.
well.
Yeah.
That's that greenish light. But then when you put that underwater with
Like a
sharks,
whole nother level
uh,
of nightmare.
it's great, great, very well done.
Yes.
I will say though,
Hmm.
why were they just filming? Well, they were filming because of the light. It was a little bit of a stretch.
Hmm.
He actually says, "I want this is for the our audition tape or whatever," and
And she's
that
like, yeah, right. Like,
that to
yeah,
me was not believable. Like,
no.
just people were being eaten all around them. They were possibly not going to survive. This is even before they found the
All
rat,
of that. Yeah, that's the
and
beginning.
he's talking about his audition tape, like when it seemed very unclear that there was even a chance they were going to survive, which they
Yeah, because
don't.
she
Yeah,
says that. She goes, what? You're just going to film us dying out here? She
I, I,
says that.
I mean, yeah, that like I know that was the found footage movie, like sort of why are we still filming moment, which
Yeah, it
every
wasn't
found
super
footage movie
strong.
has.
Totally
No, it
agree.
was not super strong. I
Totally
mean,
agree.
we've seen the we need the light angle, but
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason you'd be filming for hours and hours upon it. Um,
No.
so yeah. Uh, but like definitely some really tense moments. Um, if you're someone who's like freaked out by Jaws, this is like if Jaws put you like in the movie. Like if you got to sort of feel what it was like to be in the water. Because that's one thing with Jaws is they're not like in the water a ton. Like Jaws
No,
is
they're
like a
not.
lot of on the boat. Um,
Yeah.
this entire movie, almost this entire movie, you, the viewer, are of the vantage point of someone just floating in the water, their
You're
feet
right.
dangling below the surface
Can't
while
see
they're,
most until it, you can't see anything until it's super close. Because even the night
yeah.
vision has limitations.
It, it feels to me they really did film in the ocean a lot of this because just the natural sort of feeling of the waves just constantly splashing over the
Hitting them in the
camera,
face.
hitting
Yeah.
them in the face. It felt you're really being jostled. I feel like if you're someone with vertigo, this movie might bother you a little bit. Like you're just
Yeah.
constantly being jostled about, but it's a very realistic feeling. The shots, it's realistic that the camera would be bobbing up and down out of the water the
Hmm.
entire time, and that is exactly how they do it. So, um,
Yeah. And then our final shot of how the camera gets taken in and this like leads to our,
great,
oh my god, though, because they do it, he looks down, he comes up, and then
yeah,
he looks straight down, and I'm like, this is going to mess me up, and it did. When you see that shark come up and you just all you see is the inside of its mouth eating
yeah,
the camera, I was like, oh my
oh,
god,
yeah,
beautifully done, like so scary. Oh, so
great,
good.
great final shot.
God,
Um,
so good. It's
so
like,
don't feel like you need to watch the first two movies in this series.
no,
It's not really a series, right?
no.
It's a branded. It's branded. But
Yeah,
this is
it's
its
just about being
own.
stranded in the water. That's all it
It's
is.
it's its own standalone. Really, it feels like, and this is the only one that's found footage, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it is.
Yeah.
But definitely it's hard to do something. We watch. So this is now our like 47th episode or something like that, right? We've
Mhm.
we watch so much found footage, and it's hard to do something different with the genre. Although we see different things, but this one feels really different, and I think it's
Yeah,
literally just that it's in the ocean with sharks. Um, and in a way, it's one of the more likely to happen scenarios of most found
sure,
footage. Um, it's not supernatural. It's not paranormal. It doesn't involve aliens or dinosaurs coming back to life. Um, other than like people found footage, which we know
yeah,
could happen because it's just about people being creepers.
yeah.
Um, this movie, is one you could technically find yourself in this scenario. If you went cage diving and a tidal wave knocked your boat, capsized it, you could find yourself in this scenario. Although I don't think I'd be holding on to a camera the entire time filming. In fact,
Angel
I
doesn't go in the
definitely would not be.
ocean, so I would never be in this scenario.
You never go in the ocean,
No,
but
not
you love
past my
sharks.
ankles.
I thought you loved sharks.
I do, and on TV from a distance, from a safe distance. That is their domain.
So,
Like,
you love dinosaurs. Would you not go into Jurassic Park?
no.
You wouldn't. Oh, I definitely
I mean,
would.
are we pretending that the movies don't exist? Because that's the thing. Is like when you learn from these things, you're like, nope, not risking
But
it. Like the
wait,
Georgia Aquarium.
in the movies they pretend these things don't exist. In the Jurassic Park movies, they keep making more scenarios where they end
You're
up at the
right.
parks. So they
You're on
don't. They
TV.
Yeah, I'd do it. I'd go.
The Georgia Aquarium, you can actually go into their shark tank in a
They're not
cage.
great whites though.
No, it's
They're not putting
little
people.
hammerheads. It's hammerheads, like reef type sharks, which but reef sharks are or can be aggressive.
It must be safe enough though if they're letting
Well,
people.
so the logic is they're so well fed they won't kill
Right.
you. That's the logic. But you have to be a certain age and you go down in the cage with like an instructor kind of thing.
Oh, you
And
are in a cage though.
you're in a cage.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then they also have another one. It's like a wading pool, so it comes up to like your hips, and it's got little tiny sharks in it. I'm telling you, I won't even do that.
you want to, I was just going to ask you, like, if you were in a scenario where you knew you were safe and the boat could not capsize, you wouldn't go in a cage
Hell
with
no,
great whites. You wouldn't do it.
no. I absolutely not. I'm so scared of sharks. Irrationally scared. I went to the beach one time and I was in a little further than my comfort zone and I saw Finn like out in the water and I was like, when I tell you I walked on water, I was out of there and it was a dolphin. I
Yeah,
didn't
well,
care. It was too risky.
we've been getting more sharks up this way now.
Oh,
And that,
really?
yep, yeah, and near Cape Cod and whatnot, there have been a lot of great white sightings.
I wonder
Yep,
if it's a temperature thing.
it's to do with seals. The seals are all over the place and they feed on them. So
Yeah.
don't if you to all viewers, if you did not know this, if you see seals swimming around, do not
Get
swim in
out of there.
the
Yeah.
vicinity. Yep, because that's
Well,
what
that's
happens.
why
They
people in
mistake people.
wetsuits get
Yep,
attacked because they look like
exactly,
seals.
exactly. Yep,
Because, like, as much as I love the movie Jaws, it did not do great things for shark populations in the ocean.
no,
Because it created mass fear of these. They're just animals. Like they're not monsters. They're just animals, but they are dangerous. But that's their world. Like we're not, So
yes,
anyway,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love this one though. I'm so glad we
This
finally
is
talked about it.
this is to me like a no-brainer, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Great watch, great watch.
Yeah.
Thank you for suggesting this one.
Yeah. Um, I don't think we're 100% sold on what we're doing next. So,
No,
but
not
we
sure.
are going to try to keep it vacation, travel, summery kind of vibes. Because this was the only shark one that seems to exist.
But definitely still I think the reason we're unsure is because we're trying to find some more great summer recs. So if you have any, please let us know. We've been searching for 'em. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
okay, cool.
Well, we're getting closer to 50.
Few more. few more episodes. We're going to be giving away some fun stuff, I think, right?
Yeah. Be doing something totally different too, because it'll be totally different than anything we've done so far.
You got big plans. Stay tuned.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this Friday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week coming up. And Tom and I will see you next week.
See you next week.